And we're live. You were live. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm just pouring some beet juice. We're about to meet our in-house chef, Olia.
Hello.
I'm really excited about this. I know that our members are too, based on the conversation. Everyone wants to know who the face is behind the hands and all the amazing videos. So I'm excited that you are here. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And it's been such a pleasure being part of the team. The group is absolutely fantastic and all the comments are so appreciated. I'm really happy that my recipes make people happy and being cooked. So
yeah, I mean, we had a chance to read over the little bio that you did, and I just thought we should definitely share about how we met. And you're just so fitting to the group because we're all about vibes, and we talk a lot about reconnecting with ourselves, you know, that mind-body connection. And you talk a lot about, you know, making connections with food. And I think that conversation is so important because, as you know, a lot of our members just terrified to eat because of past experience with weight loss, losing the weight. You know, they eat one piece of bread, they feel like they gain it all back. And, you know, some people are afraid to eat nuts and carrots and fruits and all those things. And because we use food for so many things, I think it's so important that people not only lose their weight in a healthy way physically, but also mentally, where they're calm around food and they can reconnect in whole new ways where, you know, and enjoy all the yummy bites of bits that come with life, you know? So I think what we should do is maybe have you tell us a little bit about yourself and, you know, where your love of food sort of comes from before we get rolling on your amazing recipe.
absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, the fear of eating nuts and the fear of eating avocados, even. I've gone through a lot of that.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Eastern Europe. I'm from Ukraine. And growing up, I was actually trained for professional ballet, which is trade that's a lot of times is connected to being very slim, very thin, and also a lot of times associated with a lot of unhealthy eating habits. So growing up, I was really surrounded by the fact, you know, you have to watch what you eat, you have to make sure you stay fit, etc. But also growing up, you know, food was always a way to connect within the family. You know, as I mentioned a little bit about my bio, food was never complicated back home. It's fairly limited by seasonalities at the time. And, you know, times were rough. It was post 90s. Things were not exactly the way that they are in a lot of world. But food was always a way to connect the family, sit down at the kitchen table after a long day, have that conversation. And that's really the tradition that I'm trying to keep up here. But when I moved to Canada about 14 years ago now, I keep being stuck at that 10-year mark.
Yeah, me too. Everything's a blur in the past.
Right. So when I moved here, you know, Canada is a very fast-paced country. Everybody's working, studying, there's go, 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 go. And I feel like, in a way, my family and people who surrounded me, we kind of lost that ability to sit down and really connect. So, you know, years after, here I am cooking for a living, and I absolutely love food. I develop recipes on a daily basis. If you do see me staring in the ceiling, it is probably because I think about the next thing that I will cook. I really do draw inspiration from going to farmers market, grocery stores, looking at the fresh produce, looking at what's available in season. And I think that's one of the very important things about Canada as well is, you know, thank you globalism for really providing us with any variety of food at any time of the year. And there's so much diversity. You know, Canada is an incredibly diverse country. You do have probably, I would say, the best of any cuisines you can get in Toronto. And really, you know, you go out there in grocery stores, a lot of things are really readily available for you. You don't really have to look for them. And you can be healthy with what you cook, and it doesn't need to be complicated and expensive.
I was just going to say, with all of that variety available to us, all of your recipes are so simple. They're like, there's a few ingredients. They're so flavorful. They're so easy to make, even with that huge variety. We should talk about sort of how we met. Olia, you guys know I'm a big like manifester. Like I have vision boards and all that stuff, like a big planner. And we had been looking for someone to be our in-house chef and work with us and the team in developing recipes that would fit on plan. Not that I like saying on plan, off plan, but some recipes for our members who really love to cook. They love to like be inspired and all of that. And we knew that we didn't want anything too complicated, but yet we wanted something that was hip and fresh and flavorful and something everyone could look at and be like, I could make that, and then be, you know, feel like they're, you know, a gourmet chef when they're done. So we had gone through some big companies and done some interviews, and Sonia, as you know, my chief of staff, she was, I guess, driving to work one day and she heard Olia on one of the big radio stations here, Kiss 92.5. And she's like, we got to meet this girl. And I'm like, well, you know, we're interviewing these big teams and these big people. And she's like, no, we have to talk to her. I know she's going to fit. And then we hooked up a Zoom just out of the blue. We were like, let's call her. And you didn't know us. We must have thought, who are these people?
You know, Gina, I have to say, you know, something about manifesting. You guys came into my life at a really good time as well. And I remember that interview really well because that was right around the time when the war in Ukraine broke up. And, you know, I was really in very challenging place mentally. I was going through a breakup with my partner at the time. So I was moving out. Things were kind of really dark at the moment. And you guys came up, I got the email out of nowhere. And I think it actually took me a couple of days to even see it and reply to it. And the next thing I knew, I was in my new apartment. I was on the Zoom with you and we were starting something really great. And it's been a fantastic journey so far. I really, really love the people in the group and I love cooking for them as well. So it's been a great story.
Yeah, you guys, she's in the group. She's seeing your comments. She's taking the stuff that you're saying to heart. She's getting inspired. Like she's not just like off, you know, on her own. She's totally involved in everything that's happening in the group and really wants to create these amazing recipes. So why don't we get into that today? What are you cooking for today? I thought it was interesting because you're doing a Greek inspired. So I don't know if you know, but Tony and I are going to Athens on Wednesday. I thought it was like perfect timing. Our one of our girls is there. We've sent her away to work on a volunteer with sea turtles. Which we're so blessed to be able to do. She flew there, got there fine, but we're nervous on the way back. So we're going to go. And then it's camping. It's very much not glamorous. It's really a lot of hard work. So we're going to take her sightseeing for a couple of days. But I thought, wow, perfect timing with this. Now, do you cook Greek food? Is that like, was it just a random thing or did you know I was going away and you picked that? Like, how come you picked this dish?
I think it's a combination of all. I do really love Greek food. And some of the things that I love about it most is how easy and uncomplicated it is and how absolutely delicious it is. I'm a big fan of seafood. So anytime I'm in any Mediterranean part of the world, I'm all about octopus, fish, anything that I can get my hands on. I absolutely love. Today, we're going to be cooking chicken, nothing very complicated, but I promise you it's going to be absolutely fantastic and delicious. And right now, this is the time of Ontario produce. So most of the stuff that I have on the table here, I picked up from the local farmers market in Etobicoke yesterday morning. And everything just looks so fantastic. Every time I go there, I just come home with a smile. There's a haul of food. I'm a household of one. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's excessive amount of tomatoes on my table. Most of the time I go through all of them, but it is just so inspiring to go. And to talk a little bit.
I noticed that. So you're going to do a recipe. You've given us a recipe. I've added to the post. I know our members love to cook along with us. Tony's going to be in the back. He's prepped, ready to go. He's going to be cooking along because I can't stand doing a cooking segment and then I can't eat afterwards. My goodness, we did the barbecue segment the other day with this amazing couple. I was so hungry by the end of it. So we like to cook along. Our members are also cooking along. Now, I did talk to you about not putting quantities on certain amounts. And your response to that was that it was so.
To be honest with you, this recipe does not call for any quantities or really any burdens on what you want to use as a veggies. Like this is a great thing about sheet pan dinners. It's, you know, you do a little bit of prep, you throw it all on 25 minutes after you pull it out, you've got yourself a dinner. I've got some zucchinis, asparagus, tomatoes here. But you can throw in eggplants, you can throw in peppers, you can really, whatever, when you go to a grocery store, whatever looks at you and smiles, I say pick it up, throw it on the sheet pan, put a little bit of salt and olive oil and you're good to go. So really do not limit yourself to absolutely anything. You know, I put some specific herbs we're going to put in our little yogurt sauce. Don't limit yourself to that. You want a little bit of spice, throw in a jalapeno, throw in a little bit of lemon juice. You know, it's a playground. I think kitchen is a playground. I know some people don't fully enjoy it. Some people love it the most, but it doesn't need to be complicated. I think that's really the bottom line. You can have a little bit more fun with it, but you can also make it very quick and delicious, and it's going to look good. I promise you.
So if you need more chicken, add more chicken. If you need more spice, add more
Absolutely.
spice. If you need more veggies, add more veggies. If you don't like our veggies, use your own veggies. There we go. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get started.
All right, so I'm gonna just quickly talk through what I have on the table, and then we'll hop right into prep.
Sure.
So as we wrote on in the group, we've got some veggies. So I have some zucchinis, asparagus, red onion, tomatoes. These are tomatoes that I actually bought last week. They're a little bit sad looking, but they're going to be absolutely perfect for the sheet pan dinner. And I think that's a really good way to utilize produce that might not be, 1 day old fresh.
Yeah.
But as they cook, they will burst and the flavor is still there. So they're not as crunchy, but as they cook, they'll soften up. The juices will come out. The chicken will soak it up.
I love that you said that because I always have tomatoes that are going a little bit soft, a little wrinkled. And I'm like, oh, they're not like good in a salad, but I never thought they're still obviously used if we're cooking them or roasting them.
You can throw them in the omelet. You can throw them in the sheet pan dinner, sauces, anything like that. Ripe tomatoes are probably even better for that because they hold so much flavor. Yeah. They're not as beautiful and crunchy anymore, but the flavor is still there. So definitely don't ever feel like a soggy tomato is time to go. There are tons of ways of using that.
Now I have another question. Sorry, I have another question. I like to cut you off and ask lots of questions, and people start to ask questions. I was going to pick up the yellow zucchini. I love the green ones. I was going to pick up the yellow, and I was like, oh, I don't know. Does she mean green? Does she mean yellow? And I see that you have both.
I have both, and sometimes I get the little green ones with white little dotting in them. Yep. They're all zucchinis. They do have a little bit slightly different texture, but overall, when it comes to salt, a little bit of oil, olive oil, maybe lemon juice, they're going to taste delicious. I promise.
All right. Okay. Yep.
All right. So we've got chicken here. I'm going to use chicken breast today. So I actually picked it up accidentally bone in. So I kind of butchered it. No pun intended. We will play around with it, but it's still very good. I have some Greek feta. I have the herbs for our little sauce that we're going to make on the side while the chicken cooks. Kalamata olives. And then I know there's been a lot of questions around this, guys. So this is za'atar. Yes. And I've actually discovered this spice fairly recently. And this is my second container that I've gone through. Oh, wow. And za'atar is a Middle Eastern spice. You can put it on chicken, you can put it on veggies, you can put it on your hummus, anything. And really it's the combination of sesame seed, dried thyme, and sumac. And sumac is really like dried acid essence. So it's sour, it's salty, it's flavorful, it's smoky. You can find different varieties with it. There are some that come with dried pomegranates. It's absolutely delicious. If you've never tried it, I would highly recommend. You can buy them pretty much in all grocery stores at this point of time. So if you give it a whiff, you can definitely smell the sesame, the roasted sesame. It's a little bit smoky, but this is my container too in the last month or so. I picked this one up from HomeSense, I believe. Okay. And then a friend of mine, hearing about my obsession, actually gave me a homemade one. So so I'm going to be using this for the recipe, but anything will work. You can make it on your own at home, and it will be delicious. Okay.
This says add a tangy and nutty flavor to meat, fish, poultry, flatbread, or vegetables. So
vegetables, you can put it on a flatbread, anything you would like, it will go well. Okay. So, so the way we're going to flow through today is we're going to first marinate the chicken. We'll let it sit. I've had it tempered on my counter for about 20 minutes. So we really want to temper any meat that we cook just so it cooks through evenly. Okay. So that's ready to go. We'll stuff it with feta. We'll marinate it and we'll let it sit while we prep the veggies.
I love feta. Do you use goat or sheep or what? Like what kind of feta do you prefer to use?
So I'm a big fan of Bulgarian feta. I love Greek feta as well. So most of the time I'll buy cow milk. But really whatever's on sale in a grocery store, whatever looks good. Typically Costco has a fantastic value for Greek feta. Because I'm a household of one and I have a condo-sized fridge, I try to avoid Costco at all costs because I've got no space to store it. So here today, I just picked it up from a grocery store. This is cow milk Greek feta. It is a little bit saltier and it is a little bit firmer. Okay. Which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to be using any additional salt in my chicken. The salt from feta as well as the salt from za'atar will kind of cover on the ground. But again, you don't need to limit yourself to anything. If you do want to salt and pepper it a little bit more, absolutely go for it.
Okay.
I wouldn't kind of limit it to anything.
Okay.
So how about we get started?
Yes, let's get started.
Yeah, so we'll do chicken first. And as I said, I kind of butchered it in a way that it's not supposed to. But what we really want to do is that the chicken kind of opens up butterfly. So we can stuff the feta inside and then we sear it after. So what I'm going to do, because I did not cut them properly, also, just a side note, typically I don't like to touch my chicken. I use tongs to handle it at home. You know, mostly because of salmonella contamination. You don't want to get it all around the kitchen. Yeah. Really, the only times I do get my hands on with is whenever I stuff it.
Okay.
So typically you'll get it ready to go. So I'm just going to get my paring knife and I'm going to make a little bit of a...
They do say your hands are the best tools that you have in the kitchen. So as long as you're safe with it, you're washing your hands, you're mindful of putting words, all of that. Yeah. I get it. Okay, good. Exactly. So scissors. So, scissors?
No, I'm going to use my paring knife. So it's just a smaller knife than your chef's knife, and it's easier to get into the meat. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little slit so we can stuff the feta inside. It doesn't need to be perfect. We will be using little pins. You don't need to, but I do have a couple of toothpicks in here.
So we're using thighs. And what are you using for picks? Did you break up those skewers? Is that what those are for?
Yeah, but I didn't need them because these were already sliced open and then I just closed them.
Oh, all right. There you go. Thighs are typically very easy, but because the way they remove the bone, it actually opens up like a little pocket. So, and honestly, with the chicken breast, you will usually get that as well. It's just the way that I butchered it is not necessarily the way that we would want it. But yes, I'm just going to make a knife and make a little bit of a slit in here. Yeah. So we'll do that. And really what we want to have. So again, because it is contaminated, I'm just going to throw it in the sink so we don't have to worry about that. Really, I'm just making a little pocket here so I can put the feta cheese in there. Okay. Yeah. So this is good to go. And I'm just going to quickly wash my hands.
Yeah, we're all about progress over perfection around here. People are asking, Olya, can you use other cheeses other than feta?
You can use absolutely whatever you like. The reason why we're using Greek feta here today is because it is a Greek inspired dinner. Yep. But you can throw in mozzarella, you can throw in cheddar. Just be mindful is that like cheese will crust up a little bit more and quicker, like regular cheese, hard cheese. Yeah. So feta usually softens up a little bit and becomes more of a cream cheese texture, I would say. So it's perfect. It's like you're keeping the moisture within the chicken, and it's really kind of the good sauce that's just going to come out of it. So I've got my feta here, and I'm just going to slice it up in like little thin slices. There you go. And it doesn't need to, like, if you have feta crumble, you can throw that in as well. It doesn't need to, yeah, it's really whatever you've got on hand. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my chicken and I'll grab the feta and throw it in here.
Okay.
Fairly easy.
Yeah, so you're using the bigger chicken breast. You're using obviously bigger pieces of meat. We're using the smaller thighs. So with, smaller pieces.
Just chop up the feta into smaller chunks. It's whatever fits, right? So to keep this thing together, I'm just going to use the toothpick here. So I'll just poke the chicken through.
Now, is there a tip in terms of, I know you've done, there was a great recipe where you stuffed it, I think, with feta, with the tomatoes and the balsamic. Oh my God, it was so delicious. Is there a trick to how thick of the slice of feta that you're using, or is it just like personal taste?
Yeah, I would say it's personal taste. You obviously want to make sure that it's not large enough so you don't kind of not able to stuff the chicken. Yeah. But as I said, if you have feta crumble on hand, as long as you can keep it together and stuff it in, you're going to be good. So you can see it's not fancy. I just stuffed it so it can hold together. So I'll keep that in and I'll just give my hands a quick rinse. And all we're going to do next is just going to throw in some spice and olive oil and set that aside. Okay. So it just sits and soaks in the flavor of za'atar. So here, I'm going to throw this piece of feta back. We didn't need that. So I'll grab this za'atar.
Now, could you make this overnight? Like, would you advise like stuffing the chicken? Say you had like, you're having some people coming over. Would you advise doing this the night before or a day of?
You can definitely do that. You don't need to, because the flavors of za'atar are so nice and strong, and really chicken is quite easy. Like, we're not really putting any liquids for the meat to soak in.
Yeah.
So it can be as easy as that. We will be searing the chicken to seal the flavors, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But here, I'm just gonna throw in generous amount of za'atar. And then I'm just gonna pour a good glove of olive oil.
And there again, there's no measurements. You can use more, you can use less, smell it, see if you like the smell of it. If you're hesitant, try a little less. Next time, try a little bit more.
And if you don't want to use, like, if you not a fan of za'atar, you can just use salt, pepper, just some dried herbs, oregano, basil, whatever you like. It's really, again, kitchen is a playground, and you're lead of it. So again, I'm going to use the tongs here because I just don't want to get my hands messy anymore. So I'll just toss that around quickly to make sure that it's well coated all around.
Someone's asking if they could do this with fish fillet. I mean, would you add cheese in a fish fillet? I mean, you could make you could use, I mean, we're doing a sheet pan recipe, but I would imagine you could use, I don't know. Is that a whole other recipe?
You can definitely try. I personally never had feta with fish, but I don't see why. Also, you don't need to be stuffing the fish with the feta. You can just throw the feta in the similar way that we're cooking it right now. Throw it on a sheet pan dinner. If you don't eat the meat, that's totally cool. That's one of the things about the versatility of this recipe. You just kind of get it together. The only thing that I would say is fish typically cooks much faster than chicken does. So if you do decide to do that, maybe roast your veggies a little bit longer than you do with the fish. So just throw in your veggies first, and then 10, 15 minutes after, throw your fish in together. So then the fish is not too dried out. So this is all nice, well coated. I'm just gonna cover it up and let it sit on the side there. And we will get back to it in a minute. And now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna prep the veggies. So this is gonna be very quick. And what I really like to use for all of my veggie preps is a tool that's called mandolin.
Yes.
And I know typically people are quite afraid to use this because of some, you have to handle it quite carefully, but there are quite a few ways to make this tool safe. And I swear this is going to cut your prep time in half. So I usually just use it as is, but there are little things like these. I think I have one here. Yeah, there we go. So this is a holder. This one actually came with the tool. And you can just put your veggies here and it will protect your hands as you slice. Nice. You can also buy some gloves. And they're widely available on Amazon or in regular stores like Walmart. And really the glove you can use it when you cut as well. It just protects your hands from any potential slips and really just makes the tool safer to use.
And can you put it in the dishwasher when it's done?
I put this in the dishwasher. I use this for probably about half a year now. I got this one from Amazon and I love it because you can do both julienne and slice. And I'll show you how this works. But this one I got from Amazon. I use it on a daily basis. I also use it to prep food for my dog. So it's really in use in my kitchen at all times. It's in the dishwasher sometimes twice a day. It hasn't dull at all. Okay. So far I've been very happy. So we're going to start with zucchinis. I washed all of my veggies before, so make sure you do that. And then this has 3 different levels of thickness. I'm going to use the thickest level here. So we get the zucchinis a little bit thicker, and they're going to keep their structure together as we cook them.
And if someone's cutting at home just with a knife, they just want to make these a little bit thicker. What's the thickness? Can you show us one before they get
so the ones that I do here are about, I would say 1/8 of an inch. Okay. But again, depends what you like. If you do like your zucchinis a little bit crunchier, make them about 1/4 inch. And I'll do that with the yellow zucchini. I'll use my knife to do that. Okay. This is just so easy. Ooh. All zucchini back.
Welcome to the team, Olia.
All right, let's adjust this a little bit.
That looks good.
All right. But here, like you can see how quick it is. And
Oh yeah.
we're essentially done, right?
That's a game changer. Even my son loves cucumber slices. Like that would just be so easy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But as I said, so this one here, not to advertise any products, but when you do look for mandolin, see if you can get a couple of different options. This one has julienne as well.
People are going to ask,
just like that.
People are, oh wait, whoa, what? And then what did you do though? Okay, first of all, you're gonna need to let us know the brand because people will ask. We're sharing is caring around here. We're not getting
absolutely.
So we're okay to promote. So first of all, what's the brand? And then show us what you did there. Like, what is it? Just because I don't.
So this one, yeah, exactly. So this one here just has two different functions. So you can slice and you can julienne. And julienne is a fancy word of saying chop it up.
Okay.
So my julienne cutter I use for everything. I do it for my meal prep for carrots. I do it for cucumbers, radishes, anything. And you can see how quick it is. And what you can do if these pieces are a little bit too long, you can actually cut your zucchini in half and make them smaller. So it's so fantastic for meal prep. And you can just cut up all of your veggies, put them in containers, and you're ready to go whenever you make lunches. You just kind of get them all together. So I'm a big fan of the tool. And there are safe ways to use it. So don't kind of I would say don't write it off because it is quite dangerous to use. It can be safe and it's going to save you so much time. Yeah. So I'm going to keep the mandolin on. Actually, I'm just going to quickly slice my red onion here. And you can see how easy that is as well.
So you got this one off of Amazon. What's the brand name?
So it's called Progressive. I can share the link under the video after. But I think it was around $20, $25. It's not very expensive. They do wear and tear, but it's a great tool to have. Can't talk more about it. So I'm just going to slice my red onion here. All right.
Oh my gosh, looks so simple. Why don't we have a mandolin?
All right, so we'll set this aside.
Because honestly, trying to cut red onions, oh gosh, okay.
I might start crying in about 30 seconds, but well, it's the tears of happiness. But yeah, if you do want to use a knife, that's not a problem at all. I get my chef knife, and you can just chop them up in like little circles like this. Yep. Or if you do want them a little bit bigger, you can also get them in diagonal like that. Okay. So it's really play with it. There's no rules. So I'm just gonna set this guy up. Get a couple more of yellow. There you go.
Amazing.
Set it aside. Then we have asparagus. So my asparagus is a little bit sad looking as well, but there's a very easy way to determine what part of asparagus you need to remove. So usually what I do is I just grab it on both sides and I snip it off just like this. And whatever snips off, that's the part that's going to be a little bit woodier and you don't necessarily want to eat. So I'm just going to do that for all of them. And
how do you know, like when they're not so fresh? Like obviously, if they've been sitting in your fridge for a week and a bit, it's not so fresh.
Yeah. So usually they will dry out a little bit and they'll look a little emptier on the side. What I like to do when I buy asparagus and I know that I'm not going to immediately cook it, I will just grab a wet paper towel and I will wrap it at the bottom. Okay. So if you've ever seen asparagus in grocery stores, it typically like sits in the water.
Yes.
And yeah, exactly. And that's what keeps it fresh. So as long as you can keep the moisture within the asparagus, you should be good. These I probably had for about probably over a week at this point. They're still good. They're still fantastic. I am losing a little bit more than what I would typically do, but that's the thing. We want to make sure there's no produce that goes to waste, right? So if you can still cook with it, it's good to go. So I think this is more than enough here. And I'll just, all right. This one is good to go. And then our tomatoes, you can, if you have larger tomatoes, you can slice them in half. Okay. Something that I do really like to use with the tomatoes, and probably the only time I use my bread knife, is to slice the tomatoes. It makes it so much easier. You don't get a lot of juice out and really just that smooth cut. I have very small baby tomatoes here, so I'm just going to use them as whole. They'll burst up as we cook them. We'll leave it at that. And that's essentially it for our prep. So very quick, you just slice it up, you just clean your asparagus. And what we're going to do next, we're going to sear the chicken. Once the chicken is seared, we're going to transfer it all in the oven. So I'll heat up my pan here, and I'm going to be using a cast iron. So what we really want to do here is to get it really, really hot. So when we throw the chicken on, it gets that really nice brown color.
Okay.
And this is in no way cooking the chicken. We're going to finish cooking the chicken in the oven. It's going to roast there. But what we're doing here, we're getting that brown color, and it's also going to create like almost a seal around the chicken, which will keep the moisture in. So we've all heard about dry chicken. This is definitely not going to be one of those. And really searing the meat, it seals the flavors inside. So it's going to be very quick, very heat pan, throw it on, brown it, and we're ready to go.
Okay.
So
Now
I
I noticed that you use the cast iron a lot in a lot of your recipes. I'm assuming you don't have one, so we're just using what are we using? Just a stainless steel one, but you could use any frying pan, I would imagine. But you're a big fan of cast iron.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use ultimately any pan. So cast iron and my non-stick pan are the two things that I use at all times.
Okay.
I also have a big cast iron here. Sometimes when I do more like larger quantities, I'll use this as well. I do find that it's quite heavy to handle. And I do have wrist issues. So whenever I have to wash it, it gets a little bit complicated. So I do try to avoid it. And really, it doesn't need to be a cast iron. It just needs to be a pan that can get really hot so you can sear the flavors there.
Yeah.
We are using olive oil, so it won't stick. So we'll just keep that one on.
I noticed Marie Cholikov has said, great addition to your team. Happy cooking, everyone. Yes, Marie. So that's Marie is Sonia's mom. And she's watching. I see Sonia's in here too as well. One other question as about the cast iron, which you can talk to us after you do that, is clean it. You don't throw that in the dishwasher?
No. So it is one of the, I guess, the only downside of the cast iron is the way you have to handle it and clean it. And it can get a little bit complicated, at times annoying. I don't use soap. And I don't put it in the dishwasher. So it is a little bit of an extra maintenance, especially when you get something that will stick at the bottom.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there are tons of YouTube videos of how to handle a cast iron. And even if your cast iron gets a little bit rusty, it is a fairly simple, long but simple way to reseason it. I always keep my cast iron with a little bit of olive oil on. I use grapeseed because that has a higher burning temperature, and that really just lubricates and prevents rusting.
Is this from your love of home cooking? Is that where does the cast iron have a special place in your heart, or just a personal preference?
I think I just kind of developed a love for it. And we definitely use cast iron back home as well. But I really love how evenly the cast iron heats, and especially with stoves like that, it is a smaller stove, so the burners are smaller. And if you have a larger pot, sometimes it will get really hot in the middle and not as hot on the other side. Cast iron really allows you to get that even heat. So I don't know if you can see this, but my oil is starting to smoke here. So I'll just transfer it over here so you guys can see as well, and let me know if this camera captures it.
Yeah,
but all we got to do is this is going to be hot enough. I'm just going to throw it in, and we get a nice sizzle.
You want it nice and hot.
I want it nice and hot. So we'll just put it on, and I'll keep it on for about a minute and a half. All I want is for it to get very nice gold color.
Okay.
We're not, again, it's going to be raw inside, so don't worry. But just getting the color. So we'll let that sear for just a minute. Hopefully I don't set any alarms on here.
I love your rose gold. I know I told you this before. I love your rose gold stovetop fan thingy.
Thank you. So it's getting nice charred, and you can definitely smell the za'atar right away. Typically herbs are activated with heat. And that's why a lot of times whenever I do use a particular herb in my recipes, I'll give them a little quick toast before I use it, and it really opens up the variety of the flavor.
So what do you mean a quick toast? Like, what do you mean by that?
Dry pan, you just throw it in, like keep the pan. Yeah, you just throw in the spice and just give it like a little shake. And what that does, it really brings out the aroma.
Just dry.
Dry pan, no oil. All you want is a little bit of heat. All right, so this is probably good to go. So we'll give it a check.
That's it, that quick.
That quick. So you can see it's got a beautiful gold color, but it's still raw inside. So flipping that out.
Okay.
And we'll give it another minute on the pan here. And in the meanwhile, while that's going, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start arranging our veggies. So I'm gonna grab a sheet pan. So again, I'm a household of one, so I'm gonna use a little bit of a smaller pan, but if you do have a big family to cook for, take as big of a pan as you need, put as many veggies on it as you need as well. So small pan, and then I remove the chicken. This should be just enough. And my frying pan is also hot, so it will continue cooking there. And all we want to do here is take the veggies.
So no, what's it called? Tinfoil, eh? No tinfoil on it. You just prefer just the pan?
So I like my sheet pans with character and a little bit of scratches and a little bit of burn on it. If you do want to throw in tinfoil to keep them nice and crisp, you can definitely do that. I will be adding olive oil, so it won't necessarily stick. This one is also a non-stick sheet pan. So it really depends what you like. If you do want to keep them clean, just throw in a baking sheet or a tinfoil sheet, keeping it like just easier to make.
So it doesn't change the flavor at all cooking on the tinfoil.
I don't believe so. I would have to do some Googling around there.
Okay.
I typically don't use it unless I necessarily need to.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't imagine so. It's really just like another layer of a pan, right?
Yeah, I never used to. And then when Tony came into my life, he tinfoils every pan, and it's probably because he doesn't want to clean it, or the kids won't clean it the right way, or something. Is that why?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, I always get fascinated whenever I come to somebody's kitchen and they have all of their burners wrapped in tinfoil to keep it all clean.
Yeah.
And you know, it's whatever you like to do, right? So I don't mind the chaos in the kitchen after. I'm also a fairly messy cook. And we can definitely show the viewers what's going on here after. It's going to be a little bit of a disaster. I do not embrace clean as you go, but whatever works for you. Yeah. I find that cleaning up at the end and kind of just sitting down, it's also really inspiring too. Yeah. Getting a little chalk point. So I put the zucchinis and the onions on. I'm just gonna throw in the tomatoes, and really, like, there is no order here. Just get them in. I'll put in the asparagus, and all I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take the olive oil, and we're gonna get our hands a little bit dirty here. So I'll just throw some in. We'll take some salt and pepper.
Parchment is better than tinfoil. So can you put stuff in the oven with parchment too? I thought parchment was just for baking. I guess you can put
it for anything.
So you can use parchment instead of. So if we run out of tinfoil, you can use parchment.
Yeah, we don't have parchment.
Huh.
And just to complete, it wasn't part of the recipe, but I'm actually going to throw in a little bit of za'atar in the veggies as well, because I personally really enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but it just really adds the flavor. I'm going to switch over my ear pods here because one of them is dead. Where did I put it? There you go.
So if you're just joining us, we did talk about I was calling it za'atar, but the za'atar, we talked about it. You can pick it up from the grocery store. You can add it. You can make your own. It's really like the thyme, the white sesame seeds, salt, sumac, cumin, and may contain something, but it's really easy. It's got a really big, the sesame and the thyme really is the flavor. It's tangy, nutty.
Exactly.
Okay.
So here I just got my hands a little bit dirty here. I just use my hand to really coat the veggies in the olive oil, as well as the salt and pepper and the za'atar that we just put in.
Yep.
So that's ready to go. And then all I'm gonna do here is throw in a little bit of Kalamata olives. And that's really gonna add that tangy flavor. And I love baked olives. I think they're very cool, and they're great on just with Greek yogurt or whatever. So I have just pitted Kalamata olives. You can ultimately use absolutely any. I just found that Kalamata olives go really well with the Greek inspired.
Yeah, I never thought about baking them. I personally hate them. I think they're the most disgusting thing on the planet. And Tony's not a fan either, but I'm open to trying. And that's one thing I might do when we go to Greece is try some variety, just maybe a little nibble here of try some olives. I think maybe I'm just not trying the right ones, or I need them baked. I don't know. So we are using ours without olives, but everyone else who is, and I love the recipe. It's great.
And again, that's kind of what we talked about. Be flexible. If you don't like something, get it out, replace it with something else.
Yes.
So I have everything ready here. And all I'm going to do now is just make a little bit of room on the pan to place the chicken. Okay. I do usually like to kind of spread it out so it cooks evenly.
Okay.
So here we go.
You're not putting it on the actual vegetables. I thought you were going to put it on top. Okay.
You can do that as well. I just prefer to get a little bit of more char. And when we put it directly on the pan, you will get a little bit of more heat. Okay. So.
Wait, because I saw, what'd you do with yours?
Put on top of the veggies.
Well, yeah, I thought maybe it was because the flavor from the chicken was going to cook through, but are you going to make some space now?
Yes.
Yeah. We did not do that. We did not do that.
All right.
I like
so, I'm going to say this already looks fantastic.
It looks beautiful.
It's making me incredibly hungry, but we're going to send that off to the oven. So I had my oven preheated to 425. Okay. Chicken breast usually takes about 20-25 minutes. If you feel like you need an extra check, you can always use a food thermometer. Sometimes I just give it a cut to check, but usually 20-25 minutes is more than enough for it. Depending on the size of your chicken, the timing will vary. If you are using bone-in chicken thighs with the skin on top, it will take longer. So just be mindful of that. You always want to make sure that chicken is cooked through, just to eliminate any possibilities of salmonella.
Yes,
right?
Of course. Yeah. So
I'm
sorry, 425 for like 25 minutes.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna set my Google sous chef here. So okay, Google. Set timer for 20 minutes. So we'll have that going. And in the meanwhile, all we're going to do is make a very quick yogurt. And I do find, so I'm a big sauce person. I always get the extra ketchup and I always put a lot of whatever it is. But we're going to make this Greek yogurt side, and it really goes well with the vegetables as well as the chicken. So I'm going to get this out of the way here. We'll just set it aside. And what we're gonna do is, so I have some fresh parsley and fresh dill here. So both of these are washed now, but make sure to rinse them before you go, because they do sometimes have a little bit of rocks and some earth as they harvest them. So these are already washed. And just like with asparagus, I do like to keep my herbs in the fridge with a little wet paper towel at the back. It really keeps the moisture in and prevents from your herbs going a little bit sad looking and dull. Okay. So just a little.
Now the parsley, I noticed there was like Italian parsley, regular parsley. I had the Italian, I had the curly parsley. I was like, what parsley should I use? I'm assuming you're gonna tell us it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna say it doesn't matter. And honestly, so this sauce here, sometimes I throw in cilantro, sometimes I throw in some other fresh herbs. Whatever you have on hand is good. You do want to probably stay away from some stronger, harder herbs like thyme or rosemary, just because that's going to really overpower. You really want the leafy green herbs on this one. The other thing that I would say, if you don't like chopping herbs, throw it all in a food processor. It will cut the prep time in half. At this point, because I'm making a little bit of it, I'm not gonna kind of get my food processor out and do that. But really chop it up. I know some people like to remove the leaves from the stems. I personally love the stems and the texture of them, so I'll keep them in. But if you do want to remove the leaves from parsley, like from parsley stems, you can do that as well. So all we're gonna do here is I'm gonna chop it up really finely. And if you must, roll them up like this. It's gonna keep the herbs together and a little bit easier to cut. Okay. So I'm just gonna chop that up.
Here, Tony's is like kirk, 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 kirk. Yours like.
I have to say, I have a lot of funny and sad stories. Sorry, Tony?
I just said the difference between a professional and an amateur. You can hear the difference.
We can all be professionals in our home kitchens. But I do have to say I had quite a bit of journey with learning how to cut and some close calls as well. So I do suggest go on YouTube and look at a couple of videos of how to properly cut. Because once you kind of figure that out, you essentially eliminate any possibility of cutting your fingers. Also, I always say a dull knife is the sharper knife. Because that prevents that really leads to knife slipping as you cut, and that's what can get you cut. So I like to
we've been talking about sharpening our knives for about 6 years now. We're waiting for that truck. We would, I don't know if you'll live, but there's there used to be back in the day trucks that would come around and sharpen your knives. And
oh wow,
I don't think they do it anymore, but we're still waiting for that truck to stop outside of our house.
I try to maintain my knives once a year, and then I do like some small maintenance at home with the sharpening. So I do take them in once a year professionally. It's not that expensive to get done, but it will make the difference. And also, if you do have expensive knives, it's always good to maintain and really prevent from any of the rusting and chips. So this is so fragrant right now. I absolutely love the fresh herbs. So this is, I would say, fine enough. Maybe if I'll be cooking it for guests, I would get that a little bit finer. But really, again, we just want to make it simple. We just want to make not complicated. So I got all of my herbs here. And what we're going to do now is I have a little bit of Greek yogurt on the side. And I'm going to dump these herbs in.
Okay. Whoa, that's a lot of herbs in that.
I really love herbs. Again, if you do want to adjust, please feel free to add more Greek yogurt, get less herbs in. I really do like it's going to give it all very nice green color as well. And then all we're going to do is add a little bit of garlic. Again, don't like garlic, omit it, don't add it in. You can also chop up some green onions in there, whatever you like. Something that I do really enjoy in a sauce like this is a little jalapeno. It really gives it that fresh kick. And actually, funny story. When I came to Canada, black pepper was difficult for me to handle with spice. So I've came a long way. I've got many, many different varieties of hot peppers growing on my balcony right now. So it's definitely opened up my eyes on the world of food. Took a lot of training, but I really like the spice in the food as well. So
it's a different kind of spice, isn't it? The heat, it's a different kind of spice.
Absolutely. And it's, it really brings up some of the flavors. Like one of my favorite combinations is sweet and spicy. So I love making a little chili honey and, just drizzle it on cheese, drizzle it on chicken. So I just got one garlic clove here. I do not own a garlic mincer, so I'm just going to use my microplane. And I use this for zesting. I use this for my Parmesan. It's really simple, and it's also really easy to clean. I just throw that right in the dishwasher and it gets clean. I do find with the garlic mincer, it can be a little bit difficult. So I'm just going to switch it over to the fine.
Maybe that's what I need, because what I don't like cutting garlic. So we buy it by the jar, which is not the same. We did buy some fresh garlic for today, but I'm always using a cheese grater for it. And obviously but it's bigger and not as great. So I need one of these. We need to order one of these little micro.
So you can see how fine that goes. You get a little puree out of it. And again, if you do like more garlic flavors, put in more. I just want a little 1 clove. I might have a date later on. So just throwing that out. Don't want a lot of garlic.
For the yogurt, we did there's so many kinds. You said specifically Greek, there's Mediterranean, there's Sky, there's regular. Is that just because that's one of your favorites, because it's obviously Greek inspired? So we're going with Greek yogurt. I'm assuming you can use any yogurt.
You can use any. I'm actually using Balkan yogurt here. It's not as heavy. It's not even that it's not heavy. The texture is a little bit lighter. Whatever I had in a grocery store, I picked it up. But Greek yogurt, what I really like about the consistency of it, it almost like a sour cream. But it's very high in protein and it's really good for you. So I try to use it, you can go versatile. You can add a little bit of mayo in there if you would like. It's really whatever you want it to be, you can make it. I just find Greek yogurt is very light and it really gives me that sauce that I want. So I also have a little lemon here.
Did you already have the lemon?
And I'll just do a little bit of a lemon sprinkle in here. Not too much, because remember your yogurt is already. Yeah. Okay.
So, with tons of, you can see all the green in it. It's so green.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll just give it a good mix.
I totally thought you were just going to use like a little bit of the greens, not the whole thing green. I love that. And then if you let that sit a little bit, I would imagine it would soften and be so good.
Right on. And honestly, you can use that as a dip for your veggies. You can put that on chicken for your roasted veggies. Don't limit yourself. So you can see mine here is quite nice consistency here.
Oh, mine is thicker. But we use really thick like
Greek yogurt. Also, Gina, if you do want to change the consistency, you can add a little bit of cold water in there.
Okay.
It's really thin it out, make it a little like put more herbs if you want it a little bit. A
little time. What's it?
There you go.
Oh yeah, there we go. And now we're
so yogurt is the dip is ready to go, and we're ultimately done. We're now just waiting for the chicken to go. We have about 10 minutes left. I'm gonna give it a quick peek. I don't usually like to open up oven when I cook because it really lets all the heat out. So I'll just peek through the door here. It's looking very nice and sizzly. And while we do that, I guess I can do my favorite part, the cleanup, and just really prep everything.
How about we talk to you a little bit? Like, I know you know the program inside and out, but what inspires you? Like, you've come up with a huge variety of recipes for us. We're just getting started. Oli is also going to be doing some great recipes for our maintenance group as well. She's going to be doing some tips and stuff for us. But where do you get the ideas for just being so creative? Like, where does that come? Do you get inspired by the produce each week? Like, do you just it comes to you in a dream? Like, what is it?
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of all of the above. And I didn't always cook the way that I cook right now. This is fairly new. Like I would say probably pandemic is what really accelerated my cooking and my love for kitchen. Yeah. And before it was more, I would find a good recipe. I have tons of cookbooks. I would find something, really follow the recipe, what's in there, buy my groceries according to what I'm going to cook.
Right.
Now I'm getting to the point where I go to a grocery store and I let the produce tell me what I'm going to cook. And I don't eat a lot of meat. I really enjoy chicken. Seafood is my absolute favorite. Yeah. But really, your protein is what's always there, but the produce is what's complementing it. So you go in there. I know like in the spring, you start seeing the radishes, you start seeing the beets, it's so colorful and beautiful. And I think that's really where I draw my inspiration. I also love cooking shows, and more so over the travel cooking shows and traveling as well. Anywhere I go in a world, I spend a good chunk of my time really learning about the food that's associated with the place. So it really opens up your eyes to different food and really gives the opportunity to try things that you wouldn't typically try.
Yeah. So Olia has an Instagram called Urban Sizzle. And that's one of the things I love following you about is, obviously there's so many variety of recipes. There's desserts, there's so many good stuff on there. Obviously not all you want to be, making and consuming while you're following the plans, and you stick to our Weight Loss by Gina recipes. But your love of food really comes through on that, whether it's at a restaurant or a market, and you have done some traveling. I remember you were in New York and, just always showing like all the amazing food and availability of it. You can really tell you have a passion and love for food, and for I don't even know food, for fresh produce, really.
Yeah. And it's really the concept of the food bringing people together.
Yeah.
And really it's having the meal, whether it's with your family or with your friends or it's the dinner. And kitchen is where a lot of happiest moment of the household happens, right? It's really what brings people together. And we live such busy lives. You know, I'm on the go at all times, but I always try to find time to kind of at the end of the day, come home, spend some time in the kitchen, try something new. And it's really a way to slow down, to meditate in a way, you know, bringing you that mindfulness of just kind of slowing down, cooking that food. So it's my happy place. And I really hope that delivers. And I really hope I get to inspire people as well to really slow down and spend some time connecting with the food that we eat. It's one of the very main things that gives us energy, right? You know, besides from sleep. And when you can make the connection with it, and when you can be happy with it, and it's healthy and it's nourishing your body, that's really kind of.
Well, this morning, Tony and I went out and we went to Farm Boy, which I absolutely love. You know, I'm into the big grocery stores and stuff like that, but the produce is there. I just always get inspired when I go there because it's the food, all the produce just looks beautiful. The way they let it out. We went and grabbed all the groceries. Then we came in. Normally on a busy Sunday or whatever, we go to Starbucks, which we did grab a coffee because we love, and we would pick up some egg bites or this and that. We had a whole list of stuff, you know, get my son like a lemon loaf, and I was going to get the egg bites and, you know, whatever. And, you know, I was like, let's just make breakfast today. We've been so busy and on the go. And, you know, we cooked up I wanted a bacon and tomato sandwich, which I haven't had forever, that I love. And Tony was like, yeah, with some egg. And I was like, hey, no, I don't put egg on bacon and tomato. We both agreed lots of mayonnaise, you know, so he got some lettuce and stuff. And then we cooked it up. My son, because my one kid's away and my other lives away, and the other one's down at our dorm this weekend. So it was just the three of us. And you know, we just sat here this morning, and, you know, we have a really busy morning. Tony's going here, going there, getting ready for this. And it was just like so delightful. And it was just like, I was said to him, like, this is so much better than anything we could buy anywhere right now. It was just like, oh, so good. And we just like, we had a conversation about that. Like, we really need to, it doesn't take a lot of time. I said, he's like, well, this just took time. And I'm like, yeah, but you could cook the bacon ahead of time and then heat it up. Cause, you know, we like cooking bacon. Like, it really didn't take it. Like, it probably took the time that it would take to go to Starbucks and come back. Like, it really didn't take that much time, you know? So, I used to do the 7 p.m. lives. So I used to go live in the morning, at night, and it was always a rush. And I half the time would never eat dinner with my family because I'm coming in, I'm coming out, we're working so late. And now that I haven't done it, although I miss doing the lives, we have dinner with our kids at night, you know, or like, it's been a real game changer. So I plan on to getting even more involved in making food. It just feels good. It's so good for your soul. It's good for your body. It's good to be creative and work with your hands. And so I'm already inspired.
All right. So we're almost there. So we have about 4 minutes left. I know we're running a little tight on time.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give it maybe another 2 minutes, and we'll do a check, just to kind of, so we can see the final product. And I'll get a couple of pictures after so we can share it in a group with how I played it. But really, that sheet pan, once it comes out of the oven, you will see it. It looks absolutely fantastic. The colors are good. Something that I do like, whenever I do chop up the herbs, I'll keep a little bit. Ooh, look at that.
See? Well, let me see if I can move it and get a good look.
That looks fantastic.
Oh, look at the cheese in there. Oh.
And you got nice brown bits on it. That looks delicious.
Smells delicious.
All right, so I'll get mine out.
Sorry, what were you saying? You were saying about your herbs.
Oh, whenever I do chop up my herbs, I like to keep a little bit on the side as well, so we can garnish it on top to make it a little bit more green.
Yep.
But all right. Woo.
And with a little dip.
All right. So there you go. Can you see?
Yes, beautiful.
All right. So
well, yours looks gorgeous. Look at that. It looks beautiful.
Trust me, it is going to be delicious. So I'll grab a pan here, a plate here.
I'm just digging into some. I'm going to try some now. We're going to need a little bit more of the sauce. All right. I love it.
All right.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
just going to
Oh.
remove my picks.
So good.
All right.
Oh, and you're right. The cheese, the feta is more like a cream cheesy texture.
Exactly.
A little bit
Yeah.
of sauce in there.
And it really gives the chicken the flavor from the inside. So remember, I didn't use any salt. So the salt from the feta really keeps the flavors in.
You don't
And
need
then-
any more salt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I personally don't, but if you must add a little bit more, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just gonna throw the chicken here.
Woo, it's good.
I'm gonna grab a couple of veggies here.
Mm,
All right.
mm, mm,
All
mm.
right. That sounds like a happy mouth.
Let me tell you how I
Alright.
really feel about it. Woo! And I'm not
Alright.
even starving because I had a big bacon sandwich this morning, but not too long ago. But man, this is, when it's you're not hungry and it's delicious, it's really good.
Yeah, but also, this is all the good stuff. This is not going to make you feel heavy. This is not going to make you feel tired. You
Mhm.
get all of your veggies, you get your vitamins in there. You've got your chicken with your protein, your feta with your protein.
Yes.
And this is one of those very good breakfast dinners or lunches for
breakfast.
summer. It could be
Could be
breakfast as
could be
well.
breakfast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because you really get flavors, but it's also very refreshing. So you don't have that feeling of like, oh my goodness, I just need to lay down and watch some TV. You really get the kind of energy of like, I want to do things. I want to go outside and go for a
Yes.
walk.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put some on the side here.
Now we talked for a lot of this leading up. We took our time while cooking it. If you were to whip this up, how long would it take you to whip this up? If you just on your own without talking or anything like that, how long do you think it would take?
I would probably say it would take me about 10 minutes to prep and then the 20 minutes inside of the oven.
Yeah.
So I would say this is about half an hour. Oh, there you go. Stop. I would say it's about a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, depending on how quickly you go through.
Yeah.
And if you use a mandolin, that can be done very, very quickly. And as you mentioned, like we didn't really do a lot of prep with the veggies. Asparagus as is, tomatoes as is, just slice up the onions and you've got yourself a nice plate.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
I love it. So good. Again, like 40 minutes from to table cooking, but really only 10 minutes of work. Popping.
And then remember, whenever there's absolutely no watching, like you just put it in the oven, you can do other things, right? So it's not something that you need to stay, like a risotto when it's 30 minutes, you're stirring, paying attention to it. That's what's so great about the sheet pan dinners. It's just, you got to get your prep done, but then it's in the oven and you can, do your cleanup, you can do other things, right?
Yeah.
So it is quite, I'm getting really hungry here. I'm getting very, very hungry.
All right. I know Tony. Tony's got his. Let me show yours because yours is so nice. Mine was like, oh, look at Tony's is all ready to go. Like looks. Oh,
nice.
You need some of this with it. Let me get some on for you, Bips. We're gonna add some of that on. Yes, definitely gonna need some yogurt dip on there.
And I'm very happy you chose the chicken thighs as well. Generally, chicken thighs are a little bit juicier. It is darker meat.
Yeah.
So it's. Don't get me wrong, chicken breast will still come out very juicy, but don't limit yourself to, again, use different parts of chicken and sometimes they're more accessible as well.
Oh, this is what I love about this segment. I know that we have added the recipe if people are looking for it. This is the whole thing. It's just it's about being inspired. It's about not being afraid. It's progress over perfection. It's not about having all the right things on hand. It's making do with what you have. I absolutely love that. You continue to inspire us. You make the most amazing stuff that is just so simple to put together that makes everyone feel like a gourmet chef. She's going to be busy ongoing with us, creating some amazing weight loss by Gina recipes. She's also going to be doing some recipes specific to the maintenance group. That'll be a little different since we're no longer, so concerned about, exactly hitting those right meals. Gives you a lot more flexibility with that. You can follow Olia over on her Instagram account. It's called Urban Sizzle, right? Just straight up Urban Sizzle. And you will see much more of her. Hopefully you'll be back, maybe to do some cooking segments and some tips with us.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Thank Tony. Thank Tony for cooking me some lunch and some leftovers for dinner tonight. He's going out for the day to go visit his parents and stuff. My son's got to work, so I'm going to be by myself. So I'm going to be having some more of that goat cheese chicken, and I'm just going to eat it straight up with that dip.
All right, Gina. Well,
all right, thank you so much.
So fun. We'll chat soon, okay?
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye
Thanks
now.
for joining us. Have a great weekend. See you all tomorrow. Bye.